Welcome back to Creation Magazine Live. In this segment, Cal, what are we doing?
Well, we're going to talk about dating methods, and I don't mean eHarmony or anything like that. This is from Creation Magazine, Volume 30.
It's a Creation Evolution show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, issue number 3, How Dating Methods Work. And this is by Tas Walker, who's a geologist on staff with our Australian group.
Yes.
And really good presenter. I like Tas's articles, and I like the way he presents, because he's just, he delivers really heavy-hitting information, but in a way most people can really understand it.
That's right. You don't need to be a geologist to understand what Tas is talking
right,
about.
He breaks it down. So this is a great article, How Dating Methods Work. Of course, he's talking about the dating methods that are commonly used to supposedly back up the concept of millions of years or long ages, which the Bible doesn't support.
Yes.
So he starts right off in his article. He says, addressing the students, so he's talking about a teaching or teaching situation. Addressing the students, I used a measuring cylinder to illustrate how scientific dating works. My picture showed a water tap dripping into the cylinder. It was clearly marked so my audience could see that it held exactly 300 milliliters of water. The diagram also showed that the water was dripping at a rate of 50 milliliters per hour. I asked, how long has the water been dripping into the cylinder? Well, immediately someone called out 6 hours, right? 300 milliliters, it's been dripping in 50 milliliters per hour. That's good logic. He said, good, how did you work that out? By dividing the amount of water in the cylinder by the rate per hour. Excellent, I said. See how easy it is to calculate the age of something scientifically? Every dating method that scientists use work exactly the same way. It involves measuring something that is changing with time. Of course, we understand that when we're talking about some radioactive isotope, and we can see today how, what the decay rate is, and then you assume that you know what the starting rate is and how much is finally there. Well, you can figure out the age.
Yeah, or anything that changes as the planets wear down, as the mountains wear down. You have continents moving. You have salt being added to the ocean. Anything that's changing could potentially be a dating method.
Exactly. It involves measuring something that is changing with time, exactly what you said. So he said, people began to relax once they understood that the science of dating is not so difficult. Then I surprised them. The problem is that 6 hours is the wrong answer. They looked puzzled and disbelieving. I set this experiment up, and I can tell you that the water has only been dripping for 1 hour. Can you tell me what happened? So same premise now. We got 300 milliliters of water. It's been dripping at the rate of 50 milliliters per hour, but 6 hours isn't the answer. So interesting what his class did. After they had composed themselves, someone called out, the tap was dripping faster in the past? Perhaps, I said. The cylinder was nearly full when you started? Maybe. But can you see what you were doing, I asked? In order to calculate an age, you made assumptions about the past. You assumed the rate had always been 50 milliliters per hour and that the cylinder was empty when it started. Based on those assumptions, you calculated the time of 6 hours. They nodded. You were perfectly happy with that answer. Not one of you challenged it. They agreed. Then, when I told you the correct answer, do you realize what you did? You quickly changed your assumptions about the past in order to agree with the age I told you. Every scientist must first make assumptions about the past before he can calculate any age. If the result seems okay, then he'll happily accept it. But if it does not agree with the other information, then he will change his assumption so that the answer does not agree. It does not matter if the calculated age is too old or too young. There are always many assumptions a scientist can make to get a consistent answer. Suddenly the lights went on. My audience saw in a nutshell the way the dating methods work. Scientific dating is not a way of measuring, but a way of thinking. Love the example. Love the illustrations. As a matter of fact, I use it in talks, dealing with the age of the Earth, because many people, many Christians, in fact, have accepted these dating methods as an infallible way. Well, it's just proven. The age of the Earth has been proven to be millions of years old. How can you argue against that? They think that if you argue with what as the Scripture plainly reads, you're being unintellectual, you're being unscientific, and that people are not going to, Christianity will no longer be credible in their eyes, in people's eyes, because of what it's supposedly proven.
But the assumptions there. Now he's of course this is going in the direction of radioisotope dating, which is what everybody thinks of right away when you mention dating methods in millions of years. Right. But the assumptions that he mentions that you need to know how much was there when you started,
right,
and you need to know how quickly the thing has changed,
or if it's remained constant, or whatever.
Right, or whatever the agent of change is, that has remained constant through time. And years ago, we didn't have really solid answers that the assumptions for radioisotope dating. We knew they were assumptions.
Right.
We've always known that, and so did the evolutionists. But we didn't really have any powerful science to suggest that the rates of change, for example, the nuclear decay rates,
have been different in the
have
past,
been different. Well, nowadays we have powerful science behind. Yeah, we know, or there's very, very good evidence behind a dramatic rate change in nuclear decay rates.
Right. As a matter of fact, that's what the RATE project was all about.
RATE, yeah.
Yeah, and you can check that out at creation.com. He finishes his article with this kind of a separate little mini article here, how it works in practice, and I thought this would be good to read as well. He says, a layer of volcanic ash in East Africa called the KBS tuff became famous through the human fossils found nearby. Using the potassium argon method, Fitch and Miller were the first to measure the age of the tuff. The result was 212 to 230 million years. Well, their result of 212 to 230 million years did not agree with the age of the fossils, which was an elephant, a pig, an ape, and tools. So they rejected the idea. They said the sample was contaminated with excess argon. Using new samples of feldspar and pumice, they reliably dated the tuff at 2.61 million years. That's a big difference from 212. And that agreed nicely with their assumptions. Later, this date was confirmed by two other dating methods, paleomagnetism and fission tracks, and was widely accepted. Then Richard Leakey found a skull below the KBS tuff, a skull that looked far too modern to be 3 million years old. So Curtis and others redated the KBS tuff using selected pumice and feldspar samples and obtained an age of 1.82 million years. This new date agreed with the appearance of the new skull. Tests by other scientists using paleomagnetism and fission tracks confirmed the lower date. So by 1980, there was a new, remarkably concordant date for the KBS tuff, and this became the one that was widely accepted, which illustrates that contrary to popular belief, the dating methods are not the primary way that the ages are decided. The dating methods do not lead, but follow. Their results are always interpreted to agree with other factors, such as the evolutionary interpretation of geology and the fossils. Just an amazing story. So, okay, like you were saying, okay, well we know they're making assumptions, but are those, assumptions valid? Right? That would be a question an evolutionist might ask. Yeah, but our assumptions are valid. But wait a sec. In practice, you're not sticking some sample in a machine and twirling the bar and whatever comes out, that's what it is. You're not doing that. We assume that this skull must be, of this certain range, and oh no, it's 212 million years. Well, that doesn't work, so let's redo it again. And so you're going to keep redoing it until you get the answer that works. Well,
yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I don't consider that to be very scientific.
Well, it's all what is sacrosanct. What isn't going to change is evolution theory.
Right.
Right. Here is where this particular fossil hominid, in this case, where this particular skull, this is how old it is according to evolution theory. Therefore, we make the data fit the theory.
Right.
Sort of thing.
I just think it's a shame that I have met Christians who said, yeah, but I've learned about these dating methods. It's very logical. It's very scientific. Just like Tas mentioned. Okay, you've got 300 milliliters, and and all that kind of stuff.
It's mathematical.
It's mathematical. It's scientific, and they're looking at you like, well, don't you believe in science? But they're not getting the deeper meaning of the assumptions that are behind
assumptions
this.
Involved.
And of course, working with geologists, I guess I have the privilege of working with many geologists and having studied this material and understanding that there's many cases where this isn't actually, just like they say. Anyway, if you'd like more information on these types of dating methods, visit creation.com.